Now, this is Talking Points on CBS News Minnesota.
And joining us right now is Amane Badhasso, and I hope, Ms. Badhasso, that I am pronouncing your name correctly.
You are pronouncing it correctly.
Well, thank you very much. Let me ask you, your campaign so far has been incredibly impressive. You've raised $800,000. That's an incredible amount for a first-time candidate. You're running as a progressive, but you're running as a progressive against one of the most progressive members of Congress, Betty McCollum. Why are you running against her?
Hi, I have been a lifelong organizer and I've been fighting for working class families here in the state since I came here as a refugee when I was 13. I am running for Congress because working class families have been left behind for a very long time. And we send members of Congress like Congresswoman Betty McCollum, who are funded solely by corporate PACs and special interests to Washington to fight on our behalf. And I believe that she has failed in that aspect. Somebody who takes money from
but
oil.
you've taken some PACs. I think, haven't you taken money from PACs
No,
of members
actually,
of Congress?
I'm 100% grassroots funded candidate.
Okay.
And I have not taken any money from folks in the defense industry, big oil, big pharma, like Betty McCollum has.
Okay.
So I think when we talk about who's a progressive, we really need to follow the money, because when we talk about what happens in Washington, it's all about priorities. The Congresswoman has delivered on 2 bills that she has signed into law, and those basically one of them consists of renaming a post office. So I'm running because I believe we deserve a representative that is accountable to working class families, and I don't believe that Congresswoman is. The current Congresswoman
Well, let me ask you, how would your votes differ if you were in Congress? What votes would you differ on from her?
Absolutely. So the Congresswoman has time and time again, 22 times, ensured that we were giving additional money to the, to Pentagon spending, right? She has time and time again voted to increase the defense budget. I would not. In addition to that, we have to rethink what leadership actually is. Leadership is fighting on behalf of working class families, not the corporate PACs that fund us, not the defense contractors that fund our campaigns. And so I think that's a huge distinction in terms of who is actually fighting on behalf of the district or who is fighting on behalf of the defense contractors that fund them.
Well, in terms of the defense contracting situation, and I don't think a lot of Minnesotans really know this about her. She's the chair of the Defense Subcommittee of the House Appropriations Committee. She's in charge of the military's $750 billion budget, essentially. So she really gets down in there and looks for it. It's a very powerful and very important position, not just for our district, but for the entire country. It sounds like you don't think much of that.
It's not about thinking much of that. It's thinking about what Americans are going through right now, right? Rising wealth inequality. Folks are unable to make rent. I have paid thousands out of pocket just to have access to basic medical care. And when I go around this district, people are talking about, how am I going to pay for gas? How am I going to pay for rent, right? How am I actually going to put up and be able to make ends meet? And I think when we talk about the kind of government we want a government that is accountable to working class families. That additional spending for defense could be used to actually make sure that we're investing in public education, that we're investing in actually having access to healthcare for millions and millions of folks across this country.
Let me ask you about
priorities are misplaced for the Congresswoman.
Let me ask you about your background, because it is unique. You were born in Ethiopia, and you came here as a child, and you have been working as a community organizer. Actually, I say it's unique, but it also sounds exactly like the resume for Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. What do you think of that parallel? And I know that the Congresswoman, while she has not endorsed you, has spoken and praised you and your work in the community.
Yeah, so this is the story of Minnesota, right? We welcome refugees. This is a place that gave me hope. This is a country that gave me a second chance at life. As you mentioned, I was in transition as a refugee for many years in the slums of Nairobi, Kenya, where at one point I almost died because I didn't have access to basic health care. I think this is a testament to the promise of America. And as an organizer who has been organizing for the past 14 years, if not more, I know that working class families do not only understand that we need somebody in Washington that will put us first, but they want somebody that they can connect with, right? Somebody who has also lived paycheck to paycheck, somebody who understands their struggles. And I think the Congresswoman in District 5 also shares the same story as I do, like many other immigrants and refugees across the state.
Right. Let me ask you this. In 2018, there was a very famous upset in Congress. A young woman called Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez upset Joe Crowley, a very established and a powerful person in Congress. Are you seeking an AOC moment here? And that was a big surprise. It was an enormous surprise. Are you seeking an AOC moment here?
I'll say this. I ran for Congress because I observed a congresswoman that was very out of touch. One that takes money from big oil, big pharma, defense contractors, one that has been in Washington for 22 years, but has only delivered on 2 bills. One of them was renaming a post office. So what I am trying to do, to be very honest with you, is to boldly and courageously fight on behalf of working class families. And if that reflects the powerful story of a really powerful congresswoman who is also equally concerned with the same issues that I am, such as Medicare for All, the Green New Deal, actually fighting for working class families, I think it would be an honor. But I'm focused on my district. I'm focused on the working class families of this district. And I believe that they're ready for change. They're ready for a bold progressive to represent them in Congress.
Okay, well, the last August primary, Congresswoman Betty McCollum won by 78 points, so we'll be watching that, and obviously you have mounted a formidable campaign. Amane Badhasso, thank you so much, and we'll be following your campaign.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Next, our political analysts weigh in on this race and also dissect the divisions that are emerging in both parties.